Next to me is the brand new Ferrari 812 Superfast, the successor to the Ferrari F12. Now, while its name is quite controversial, one thing is not. It has the most powerful naturally aspirated V12 ever created. Under the hood of the 812 is a 6.5 liter V12. It's been stroked out from 6.3 liters in the F12 and now produces a ridiculous 789 horsepower and 530 pound-feet of torque. We've got a new crankshaft, new pistons, and even a world production first super high pressure fuel system that pushes out fuel at up to 5,000 PSI. To the sides of the air intakes used for engine cooling and brake cooling are two turning vanes that actually divert air along the body of the 812 to improve its aerodynamics. Now, in the front splitter, there are two different vents to channel air underneath the car for added downforce, and there's even preloaded elastic flaps, so when there's enough force from the air blowing on the front of the car, they open downwards to improve downforce and reduce drag. The side profile of the 812 looks very similar to the F12, yet seemingly a lot more aggressive. It also harks back to the 1969 365 GT B4. Now, interestingly enough, this car has an extremely rare option. There is a very expensive option on almost all Ferraris, and that is the shields on the side. So you can let people know that if they didn't already, it's a Ferrari. But these aren't actually badges, these are hand painted. Compared to the F12, the rear spoiler on the 812 is 30 millimeters taller, just like on the F12 TDF. And because of the additional downforce caused by the redesigned spoiler, they had to make additional changes to the rear diffuser as well. It actually has 3 active flaps that open up to 14 degrees in order to reduce drag. And obviously, given the very aggressive design, it produces a heck of a lot of downforce. And we've got this special option here with the Italian flag that looks quite nice as well. All right, enough of me talking on the outside of the car. Let's hop inside. Right when I hopped behind the wheel of the 812, the first thing I noticed when I was positioning it for the exterior shots was how crystal clear the backup camera is. Finally, supercar manufacturers don't seem to get it right that in a car this expensive, you want the backup camera to be as crystal clear and high definition as possible. I know they don't focus on it because it's a performance car, but do you really want to back your $500,000 Ferrari into the wall? No, you do not. And also, when I put it back into first gear, I noticed that it had a frontal camera so that you can avoid smashing the front of your 812 into a curb. Really good graphics there as well, and it hides away in the front mesh of the front bumper, so you can't really even tell there's a camera there. Oh man, that sounds good. Now I have to say, when I drove the F12, the last thing that I thought was, man, this car needs a heck of a lot more power, but we've actually got 60 horsepower more than the previous generation car. Another thing I didn't think the car needed was faster gear shifts. Well, on the 812 Superfast, we've got 30% quicker shifts than the double clutch transmission in the F12. Oh, wow. The 812 Superfast also produces 80% of its torque at just 3,500 RPM. So when you're down low in the gears, you don't actually have to drop down a gear like you did in the F12 to get the most of the power. Now that being said, peak horsepower comes in at 8,500 RPMs, just shy of its 8,900 RPM redline, and with a V12 that sounds that good, I think you'll be spending most of the time revving it all the way up. We've also got this beautiful carbon fiber steering wheel that has an LED shift indicator. Oh my gosh, that is fast. That helps you shift a car that flies through the RPM ranges like no other V12 I have ever driven. Let's talk about acceleration statistics, shall we? 0 to 60 miles an hour happens in a blisteringly quick 2.8 seconds. The F12 at lower speeds felt like it was very much fighting for traction, almost way too much power for the rear wheel drive layout. Once it got rolling, the power fully hit and it was absolutely staggering. But the 812 seems like it can put the power down much much better. It's incredible what supercar manufacturers nowadays can do with a rear-wheel drive car, and despite it being rear-wheel drive, and the standard tire is just a Pirelli P0. We're not on Trofeo Rs or P0 Corsas, and it can still post a 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds. That is impressive. Top speed of the 812 Superfast, you imagine, would be super fast, 211 miles an hour. Oh my God, this thing's amazing. For a stock exhaust. Whew. I'm in race mode right now, and surprisingly, even still, the steering feels very light. It's an exceptionally easy car to drive. And the crazy part is this is actually the first production Ferrari ever to feature electronically assisted steering. That's a big deal for the Italian supercar maker to switch from hydraulically assisted to electronic. But they've been able to do something really cool with that. Instead of just replacing the hydraulic steering with the electronic assisted steering, they've been able to do some tricks to make it even better. What do I mean by that? Well, Ferrari has their side slip control. I talked about that in the 488 review. But because we have electronically assisted steering, they're able to communicate between the steering and the side slip control and actually alter the torque available to let the driver know when there's imminent understeer or oversteer. That's right, no longer do you have to listen to the tires or simply look at the road that you're going sideways. The Ferrari is going to warn you when you're about to oversteer. I've switched the suspension over to the second of two settings, which is bumpy road mode. In bumpy road mode, the suspension is softer and it rides over bumps very, very well. But even in the standard suspension, I'm in race mode right now, the suspension is very compliant. This is a car that is a proper GT cruiser. You could go on a long road trip with this. I mean, the rear cargo space, we've got a parcel shelf behind the seats there, is enough for a large weekend vacation. You could even travel for a week if you pack light. Yet the steering response is so lightning fast, it's incredibly fun to drive around the tight twisties as well. Unlike the Lamborghini Aventador that feels big and heavy and not at home in tighter roads, this thing does. Let's compare it to the Aventador S, something that I just reviewed and I loved. Naturally aspirated V12 like this, all-wheel steering like this. Yes, it has rear-wheel steering, which I'll talk about in a little bit, and well over 700 horsepower. The Aventador S makes 730 horsepower, which seems quite a bit weak compared to this 789. The 812 Superfast also weighs less as well, so apart from a 0 to 60 sprint, the 812 is going to leave the Aventador left for dead, as did the F12 compared to the non-Aventador S. Now, styling is subjective. In my opinion, there's no denying that the Aventador looks more wild and aggressive, but there's something just stunning about the way the 812 Superfast looks, and it's less of a car that would drive by and people look at it in disgust, and more of a car that would drive by and everyone's jaws would drop to the floor in awe of its presence. I have to say, after driving this, if you had a blindfold on, I'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who thought that the Aventador S handled better than an 812 Superfast. It feels incredibly nimble. There's something about the little bit of feedback that the steering wheel gives you that's just pleasing. Even if you're not driving really quickly or super fast, it's still a fun car to drive. The interior is similar to the F12's, although it's been revised quite a bit. The new screens are much easier to read. The design of the seats is lovely. We've got this digital display in the center here for the climate control. Let's talk about visibility. Over the front hood, despite the fact that it appears as long as an aircraft carrier, when you're actually in the car behind the wheel, the visibility is fantastic. You can see almost right ahead of the front wheels. Over the shoulders, the visibility is much better than most supercars of this level, and the rear window is absolutely massive, so I can see anything behind me. Oh, wow. As with all modern Ferraris, you've got a slew of buttons mounted on the steering wheel that frees up space behind the wheel so you can have these massive beautiful paddles. Ferrari nails the actuation and shift responsiveness of the paddles. A lot of people mess that up. You need to have paddles that feel good when you pull them and that are large enough to reach, even if you've got the wheel turned at a large degree. We've got everything from the turning indicators, to the horn, to the lights, to the different mode selections, to the start-stop button located on the steering wheel. And honestly, it doesn't feel too cluttered. Will it take a little bit to get used to having the left and right turning indicator on the wheel? Potentially, but once you get used to it, it feels incredibly natural. I have to say, after driving this 812 for a while, with this steering wheel and shift indicator lights, it actually is a lifesaver. This thing revs so quickly that you almost need it, and it becomes second nature, both with sound and a little indicator exactly when you need to shift. That way you can have your eyes glued to the road, which you'll need to be doing because this thing is so wicked fast. Now, does the 60 horsepower really make that much of a difference over the F12? Not really. Already has over 700 horsepower. But what does make a difference is the combination of that increase of 60 horsepower and the fact that they shortened the gears in 1 through 6 by 6%. Those shorter gear ratios make it feel like it pulls a heck of a lot faster. What I'm most impressed with is how easy and comfortable the 812 is to drive. This is honestly a V12 supercar that almost has hypercar levels of acceleration that could be daily drivable. You could absolutely have this as one of 2 cars in your garage, potentially a luxury SUV and an 812, and decide, you know what? I'm gonna drive the 812 every single day because it does stuff so well. In front of me, actually, the owner of this vehicle is driving his FF. If you live in a place with inclement weather, no, a car with Pirelli P0s and 789 horsepower probably isn't a good idea in the snow or when the temperatures are below 40 degrees. But that FF is a perfect all-around car. Oh my gosh, can you believe that was only 10 miles an hour just then? This thing sounds and feels so good. The only gripe I really have is that the hood release latch is kind of difficult, so I could open it up and show you guys the engine, but how many 812 owners are really gonna pop the bonnet on their car? Probably not that many, and after a couple attempts, I got it down. Well, I don't think it would be fair to review an 812 without doing a little bit of point of view action. By the way, here's the key, identical to the one on the 488 that I reviewed. Let's go ahead and unlock it. Much prettier door handles than on the 488 as well. And I love the sculpting on the mirror. You can tell everything from the front to the side to the rear is based around aerodynamics and downforce. Go ahead and hop in. Beautiful Ferrari sills there. These seats look fantastic as well. This dark kind of wine red juxtaposed against the gray looks fantastic. These obviously are the standard seats. They are not the racing buckets, although in an 812, I think that's the right choice there. Go ahead and plop the key down there. As I mentioned before, start-stop button located on the steering wheel. Right over here, we have the Manatino dial, different driving modes from wet to sport. Sport, I'd assume, is what you drive predominantly in. I've been in race mode all day, which feels fantastic. CT off and ESC off. We won't be doing that. Let's leave it back into race. All of the steering wheel controls here, and check out what happens when I rev the car. Look how awesome this additional tachometer looks on the steering wheel itself. Oh, that is cool. Go ahead and pull the massive paddle to the right to activate first gear. I'm gonna click this auto button here to put it into manual, and off we go. There is that beautiful FF in front of us. I actually like the way these look a lot more in person than in photos. On the center tunnel here, we have buttons for reverse, auto, and launch control. These have actually been hand painted in the Italian flag colors. Cool little detail. Carbon fiber everywhere throughout this interior. Time to head out on the open road. That rear wheel steering really does make the 812 feel a lot more nimble than the F12. At slow speeds, the rear wheels turn in the opposite direction of the front wheels, effectively shortening the wheelbase, and then at high speeds, they move in the same direction, effectively lengthening the wheelbase. I mean, just listen to this thing. Oh, this thing handles like an absolute dream, guys. This is one of the best handling cars I have ever driven in my entire life. Well, guys, I've had an absolute pleasure behind the wheel of the 812 Superfast. Special thanks to the owner, Max, for letting me drive this thing. It has been an incredible experience. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're not part of the Vehicle Virgins family yet, smash that subscribe button, give this video a big thumbs up, and as always, I look forward to seeing you next video.